All right, so let's talk about first the Analov jacket for Dr. Jordan Peterson. This was an idea that was brought forth by Jonathan Pajot, a friend of Jordan Peterson's and a speaker at some of his shows. And Jonathan Pajot suggested that we make a jacket or some jackets for Dr. Peterson that feature these Analov prints. These are Eastern Orthodox monks. I didn't really know what this was. I didn't know this existed. I'm not very familiar with Orthodoxy, Orthodox Christianity, so I had to look it up, and then these are some very cool designs. It's these monks that live in like the mountains, and they're sort of secluded, and they wear these black robes, like these Orthodox. They're kind of G's, actually. They're pretty cool. So we pulled up some of the iconography from the Analov, like these prints, and we were able basically to pull them off of the different. There's not a lot of very high resolution images you can find of these monks, but you can see some of the images in some of the low-res photos. So we pulled those out, we recreated them in higher definition for print, and then we applied them to a couple of jackets for Dr. Peterson. So that's the black jacket with the icons. There's some cool skulls and other things. Now, one idea I had to kind of stick with that theme is I wanted to make the lapels into more of a sword shape. There was some connection there to the Eastern Orthodox monks, and there was a tangent that we basically picked up on where it was kind of like, a sword shape would make some, it was kind of germane to the theme. However, Dr. Peterson didn't want that. He wanted to be a little bit more, let's say, conservative on that jacket and its kind of jacket. So we did that for that jacket. And so what you end up with is a fairly conservative tuxedo-like jacket with the Analov prints on it, very black on red and kind of golden yellow with the imagery consistent with the Analov monks. Now, another idea I had is part of the reason we wanted this jacket is there was a little bit of a talk of a certain debate that was going to happen. I can't say with who, but Jordan Peterson was speaking about being in that debate, and I had the idea that he walks out for that debate in a more Orthodox monk outfit where we actually print like a robe with the hood on it, and he comes out and he takes off the hood, and he's ready for the event. Again, my creativity got a little bit beyond the comfort level there, so that was a non-starter, but the jacket looks fantastic. The Icons jacket for Jordan Peterson. So I had a conversation with Dr. Jordan Peterson in Washington, D.C., and I was not surprised, but a little shocked to learn that the Icons jacket that he's now wearing has become more of an identifier for him and his brand than did the Heaven and Hell suit, okay? Now, the Heaven and Hell suit, to me, when I put together the Heaven and Hell suit, I wasn't thinking it was gonna become as, let's say, married to the brand of Jordan Peterson as it became. It was a very risky suit in the 12 Suits for Life collection. It was definitely the one that stood out the most. It was the one I was most worried about, because you got to test boundaries a little bit. I wanted to test the boundaries of how creative I could make clothing for Jordan Peterson. And this was, at that time, the most boundary-pushing jacket I had not made only for Jordan Peterson, but for anyone, period. Like, I don't have any clients, like let's say our clients are more white-collar kind of people. I don't have any clients that wear two-color jackets. There's just no environment for them to wear it in. But I wanted to interpret, yin and yang. I wanted to interpret chaos and order and ultimately heaven and hell through a jacket, and that was the way to do that. So that jacket, became Jordan Peterson's picture on Instagram, on Facebook. It was the one that was used in his promotional materials. People just started identifying him with that jacket. So I thought, okay, that's the one and it was never intentional, by the way. Like, the idea was to make it meaningful to him. The idea was never to make it viral or anything like that, which I'll come back to in a second, because that was very unique for me. Since most of the time that we work with clients, we want to make clothing for them that is commercial, because they have to wear it for business meetings, and we want to sell more of that clothing. So hey, look at this guy, look what he got, that's the suit he got. It would be something not quite like this, it would be a little bit more blue or gray, let's say. So we come out and we get a two-color jacket for Jordan Peterson, not thinking it was anything commercial at all, but it was meaningful because, there was the meta reference to the sheep and the goats with the wool and the mohair and the different sides of the suit and everything. And that jacket becomes very viral, gets lots of attention, lots of looks. And I think, okay, he likes it, he's comfortable wearing it. So we started making a couple things that would push the boundaries a little bit. And everyone has a different appetite, a different propensity for risque clothing, for what they like to wear. One example with Ozzy Osbourne is when I asked Ozzy Osbourne, I said, Ozzy, I don't know how far your boundaries go and how creative we can get. He looked at me and he said, surprisingly, It's like, you want to push the boundaries, but how far can you go? You don't know. surprisingly. So we knew that we could play around a little bit. But Jordan Peterson's not the Prince of Darkness rock star. He's a psychologist, theological, commentator, societal commentator, things like that. So it's like, how do we, an university professor, like how creative can we really get? So having worked with him for a little bit and making some creative stuff, I knew that he liked cool things. And so when he asked for a Orthodox Christian type of a jacket, I really dug in on the research on what are some of the icons, what are some of the images that are meaningful within Orthodox Christianity, different saints and different famous paintings. And so there was quite a mind map of different things. We ended up making 3 jackets in that theme, but the one with the major Orthodox icons, that one is the one that's kind of, he told me, become more associated with him than any other suit before, including the Heaven Hell suit. And it's getting a lot of commentary. Now the design is very straightforward. So we put the icons all over the jacket, and we did it like church windows. So you have like these, they're like in squares, which is supposed to be representative to church windows. And then the shawl lapel, which is black, it's a black satin shawl lapel, is supposed to evoke allusion towards, let's say, clergy. Like, they have the black, or the black with the collar tab and everything like that. So it's supposed to evoke a sort of a allusion to that. And that's the icon jacket for Jordan Peterson that he's wearing. Now, one very interesting conversation, and this is kind of part of it, is I explained to Dr. Peterson, I said, look, when I made this jacket, a lot of the concepts in the Orthodox, let's say, icons, the Orthodox images, they're very foreign to me. So I really had to learn new things to put it together. And when I did put it together, when you talk about the jacket, like you kind of explained some of the stuff he likes about it, I said, you understand this jacket on a deeper level than I understand the jacket. And for me, that was way outside my comfort zone, because as an entrepreneur, as somebody that builds enterprise, right, which is what we do at Al-Jibji Fashion House, most of my time is spent training salespeople and talking to clients and suppliers and vendors and technical pattern teams and things like that. We're really trying to optimize the processes to get the best possible outcome with the lowest amount of input. Like, that's efficiency, right? So everything is very much within control. Like later today, I'm going to be looking at financial statements. It's all about, being in control of the enterprise that you're tending. However, what Jordan Peterson said is, with a lot of artists, they don't understand their own art. And that just blew my mind, because it created, I had these boundaries around what I created in terms of enterprise. Like, I had to understand everything in order to drive everything. That's why we have metrics. That's why we have charts and tables and dashboards and everything. And then Jordan Peterson says, well, artists don't need to understand their own art. They often don't. And I thought, wow, because I removed the commercial boundaries of what I was creating in this sense, a jacket that's representative of something meaningful to Jordan Peterson, because those boundaries were removed and because there was no commercial pressure on what was being designed, I really just wanted to have fun and make something meaningful and sort of get lost in the flow of the process. And so what came out of it was something that was more meaningful to the other people than it was to even me, i.e. the creator of this jacket. And I felt, let's say, insecure about that, because it's just so outside of my comfort realm. And Jordan Peterson said, no, artists don't often understand their own art. And that sent me into, I would say, a sort of existential maelstrom, because then I was like, wow, I've been focusing so much on goals and just then, creating a goal, hitting a target, deconstructing it backwards, and then taking the steps in order to achieve the goal I set out. And here's something that has no rules and no boundaries. It's just like, let's just have fun, And what that taught me, and it took me 41 years to realize it, I'm a little embarrassed it took me this long, is that artists don't create things to sell. Artists create things because they just like creating things. There's no commercial boundary on that. That was completely new to me. So thank you to Dr. P for bringing that up, because it also made me realize there's a little bit of vanity to my character, which is okay, by the way. As an entrepreneur, like, I do have a capitalistic view of the world, and I do want to optimize for outcome, which includes our company being profitable and our people getting paid. Like, that's important. But I guess in a way, this project has sort of awakened the artist within me I didn't know I had. And it'll be interesting to see how the understanding of the removal of those boundaries and the continued creative process gets expressed through whether I create it or whether it's revealed to me, I don't know. But however it's expressed, I think it'll just be a lot more fun, and that's a good thing.